We take another trip to the jungle with Jumanji. Welcome to the jungle.
Then this is your moment.
Just say when.
Now.
This is a sequel to the movie that came out in the 90s with Robin Williams. It takes place actually right after that movie. You know, somebody else finds the popular board game, and after they find it, it actually turns itself into a video game because apparently this board game is now sentient. The film eventually fast forwards to present day, and we have these 4 high school students, these very different high school students, who get detention all on the same day, and they're forced to clean out this back room where they find the video game that was originally a board game. So where they find the board game that has turned into a video game, and they put it in and get sucked into this world of Jumanji, and in order to get out, they have to essentially beat this game.
What you have here is these actors, Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Karen Gillan, and Kevin Hart, playing, well, except for Kevin Hart, playing against what they're known for. Like, The Rock is very insecure, Jack Black is playing a teenage girl, and Karen Gillan is this other insecure teenager. And that's where a lot of, I think, the fun of this movie comes from, is watching them play these different roles, other than what we've seen, at least in a while, for most of them.
That's the best part of this film, is they give you just enough time to understand who these characters are as high school students, and then they jump into Jumanji, where they basically are the opposite of who they are in the real world. And so that's where most of this comedy comes from, is seeing The Rock play a role where he's timid and he's scared and he doesn't know how to react to situations. That's completely out of his character. Like every character that he's been in every movie, he's always large and in charge, the big muscular guy, and here he's not. And It's really funny to watch. But I think Jack Black steals the show. I don't know if you agree with that.
I totally agree with that. I think Jack Black is the real star here. He's clearly enjoying playing this teenage girl and doing all the affectations and mannerisms that one would have when they're in high school. So when whoever he's interacting with, he's always getting laughs. The one weak spot I'd say here, and he's fine, is Kevin Hart, who's basically playing Kevin Hart. He's the only one not going against type, but it's not bad. It's just different from everyone else that's on screen.
He's still got a lot of funny lines in there. It's just he's just playing himself, and that works for the situation. But I would have liked to see a bit of a different character with him.
I agree. I totally agree. And I think overall that's, and like we discussed, I think that this is where a lot of the fun of the movie comes from, because it's not particularly story-driven. It's never really intense or anything. The bad guy is one of the most generic bad guys you'll see in a movie this year. Even at 2 hours, for a 2-hour comedy, I never really felt like it dragged at any point where I'm just like waiting for it to get to the next point.
It was never boring.
Right,
it was never a boring film. Since they're in a video game, we've got a lot of really funny video game tropes that they play with. You know, one of the things that they can do is see their stats and see their strengths and their weaknesses, and that's a lot of fun to see them interact with different characters, NPCs, those non-player characters. And one of the best fight scenes in the whole film is when The Rock is essentially learning that he can beat people up, and he's calling out every time he blocks somebody or every time he punches somebody, and it's just weird and it's fun. But later on in the film, they start to get into just the action territory. I feel like they kind of forget about the video game aspect of it to a degree. It drags a little bit towards the end.
It is unfortunate that they drop that towards the end of the movie in order to get into the action. But overall, this is a solid movie. I think I think parents can bring their teenagers to it, and they're going to have a good time. It's never boring, and it's always pretty funny. What would you give it for a rating?
For a rating, I'm going to give this 3.5 Joes out of 5. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I think it's definitely worth seeing. If you're in the mood for that kind of comedy, go for it.
Yeah, I think that 3.5 out of 5 Joes for me as well. That we haven't had a whole lot of fun action adventure comedies like this year, so this comes at a perfect time. And I think that, like I said, you can bring pretty much the whole family there to enjoy it, and you'll have a good good time. Not really anything to learn from it or anything. You'll walk out.
It's not going to be a classic.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be that film we're talking about years down the road, but it's fun for what it is.
Exactly, yeah. To read my review, check out St. Joe Live in Friday's edition of the St. Joseph News Press, or go online to stjoelive.com. And join me next week for more movies. Until then, we'll be live at the movies. See you later.